Okay, good. Hi, hello. Of course, there's a dog barking immediately as I start stream. Perfectly on time. We love to have you here, random neighborhood dog. Copy that. We are starting bingo today. I need to also put my phone's over here. Put that up on TikTok and say we're going live. Am I on the right account? Yes, I am. Go Pierce that collection. We streaming. Amalgamation update. I was hesitating on even doing bingo. I was seriously hesitating on it, and then I realized, wait, what's stopping me from making the Modpack more fun to do bingo with? And I wanted to add something that made the made the structures more interesting and more fun to actually go for, and a reason to actually go for them, and that would be the collectibles, the artifacts that are absolutely amazing. Love it. There we go. Lovely. Yes, that's everything I need. Okay. And there we go. And pester my mod. I'm just gonna boop him. And we are listening to this song up for a second while I get Amalgamation open. I was AFK on Passion SMP. I need a lot of honey blocks. A lot of them. And I need to do this thing. Do I have the sound off? Probably not. No, I did not. Oh, there we go. You know, I'm just gonna take a picture of the streaming. There we go. We live! Let's live live. And edit it just a little bit so that's easier to read. And then do handle. That is not how you spell any of that. Mutation. See, I pay. No. I hate that fingering the keyboard. There we go. Okay. Lovely. Lovely. Fantastic. Okay. And get this properly open, and I'm gonna actually move to the stream playlist. We'll listen to it one more time. I like this song too much. Alright. We are on 1.4 of the Amalgamation now. And, oh, it doesn't even pick up how fast this actually moves. So this character is moving way faster than that, but the FPS of the stream won't actually catch it. But it is moving a lot faster than that, I'll tell you that. And we have since actually added some things. Also, we're going to be stealing this world because it looks really cool. I've literally only been in the first, like, 4 chunks of it because I just needed a green screen real quick. And the background was beautiful. I already have the seed saved. I'm gonna copy that so we don't have to go in and out. And I usually like prepping worlds for streams. I can't exactly do that with origins and classes. I need to actually kind of show that. Unless I want to give myself a orb of origin every time I log into a world. So we need that survival. World options. I want this seed because it looked really cool. Well, let's name it bingo. Artifact. Fact. Bingo. And we're gonna hop right into this. Also, while it's loading, I have this giant rainbow cup, very appropriate. I've had this thing for like 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. I've had it a long ass time. I refuse to let this thing die. This is from like 2019 or 2018. No. No, I've had it since like 2020. That's, pardon me. I also have this big old pot of black tea. And I just want me a nice cup. Well, probably a few cups out of this. I can usually get 2, maybe 2.5, depending on how much ice I got in here. out of this one pot into this cup. Well, cup's a loose word, but it stopped loading. I clicked off for 2 seconds. That was my bad. Minecraft full screen does not like me clicking off. In old versions, you cannot have it full screen windowed. That is not an option. It's either windowed horribly, or it's full screen. There's no in between. I didn't stir it. I didn't stir in the sugar. Yeah, that is just leaf water. That is just cold leaf water. Okay. For this run, I do not want to be my normal Elytrian. I don't even want to be the other one I've been playing a lot, which is the Enderin. I found a lot of fun, actually, as a Shulk. I'm still tempted to do a Elytrian, but I really like the idea of Shulk because of the 9 slots of inventory which keep item on def. So theoretically, I'm not sure if it can work, but I could put my backpacks in those slots, and I can keep a warp stone in those slots, so in the case that I die, we can immediately go back, almost. Also, even without armor, we have natural protection, which is fantastic, and I can break stone without a pickaxe. Oh, wait! I remember, I was half BSing that, because I'm like, I know there's a one I wanted to do that wasn't the Elytrian or the Enderin. I thought Phantom would be pretty... I thought Phantom would be really fun for this, because I can just sneak around walls and steal loot that way. Switch between human and phantom form at will, but only while you're saturated enough to sprint, skin translucent. While Phantom, you can walk through solid block material except obsidian. While Phantomized, you are invisible, and you begin to burn in daylight if you are not invisible. Being Phantomized causes you to become hungry if we get... My phone's going off. If we get... Ratatouille, that'd be really easy. Or if I just make... I can make hamburgers from Croptopia. That's actually really good food. We could do that. And you have 3 less health. You have 3 less hearts of health than humans. That's fine. We have stats. Some of... This is easy to negate. Very easy for me to fix. Oh. And I kind of need to check this. Read over this real quick. Okay. Select. And I'm tempted to still go Archer. I'm tempted to do Beastmaster because we have doggy talents now in the mod pack. But also, they're probably gonna die on me. So, I don't know if Beastmaster applies to the companions, because the companions are coded like a dog. You can even lead them like one. I don't know. Would Rogue go really good Phantom, probably? Because I make less sound and extra damage when sneaking, and when in stealth. I could get really good damage as a Rogue Phantom. We're going with that. Oh, the wrong button. Oh, it automatically puts me into Phantom mode. Got it. I'm just gonna be on fire for a little bit. Okay, let's just... Oh, Fulbright doesn't apply to this. Fulbright doesn't apply. Because I was kind of counting on Fulbright working. Oh, it kind of does. I could absolutely accidentally fall in someplace, though. There's a village over here, but I don't care about it. I just really liked how this area looked. Hold on, this isn't even the correct area. How does the... Oh, I can still do... Okay, so you can't... I need to go underground. Hold on. Let's go underground for this. Let's go underground. Can I use my ability? Oh, I don't have the hunger points to do my ability anymore. But I can roll. Am I stuck here until night then? Am I stuck here for another 3 minutes because I don't have the hunger to go invisible? Yeah, that is the case. Oh, you can see the layers! Oh no, you can see the layers on the side of my head. Oh, it still kind of looks alright, but also just... no. Okay, so this has immediately gotten a lot worse than I thought, and I can't do a thing. We're gonna redo this with Shulk. Shulk was the way to go. Shulk was the actual way to go. You know what? No. We're gonna do a random world after all. No, cause that... no. No. Still tastes horrible. I just need to drink enough of this that I can at least get a little of the sugared tea on top. It really is just drinking water. I hate that. I'm gonna steal the straw. And then switch. Ah! I just dripped tea all over. Ooh. At least I have a napkin. And then actually stir this. It's just a clump at the bottom. To be fair, I've had this sitting for like 20 minutes. There we go. I just needed a little stir, just a little bit. And this time I'm actually gonna put the pot next to it. There we go. Where did I put the nap? Over there. It's just dripping everywhere. Not good. Okay. Lovely. So hopefully that's better. A little bit of sugar, please. That's better. That's doable. Alright, actually this time, I'm still tempted to go Elytrian, just for my wings. But the low ceiling is gonna get me, so we're going Shulk. Archer. Why do I always end up in cold biomes? I'll always end up in the extreme biomes, and lately it's been the cold ones. Passion SMP is a snowy tundra. The thief run I did was a snowy tundra. Ain't this lovely? I don't think I can mine ores with my bare hands, but... no, I cannot. But I can absolutely get stone with my bare hands. This is fantastic. I'm loving this. This is faster than a stone pick. Oh, I adore this. Why do you need hammers when you can be a Shulk? Oh, I can't wait to see how fast I mine Deep Slate. Also, there's a lot of ambient sounds now in the game, and I adore them. I absolutely love all of them. I mine dirt slower than stone. That's lovely. Pretty please, I just need a tree. There we go. 3 logs is enough to get me this, and then I can make a stick. And then I have enough to get an axe, so I can get a full tree. Lovely. And I'm just gonna burn through this axe real quick. What is that over there? Is that's a full out, that's a straight up village, okay. Happily. Can I just burn through the entirety of this axe really quick, pretty please? Gosh. Do I want to go after Ratatouille? I'm trying to use the axe, I'm not trying to attack. There we go. Whoop. I almost got all of it, and it gave me a hefty amount of wood. And that's a stone cut. Yes, that is stone cutter house. We have actually stone cutter, and with it, I can throw all these logs into the stone cutter. And bigger stacks, yeah. Also, works with sticks as well. I can get out of 22 sticks, 180 sticks. I'm never needing sticks ever again. I didn't even need that much. And then we got some basic tools. I'm gonna steal a crafting table, because why not? And I hate that the name at the top, the city name, covers the compass. I can't fix that, unfortunately. The only thing I could do would move the compass lower, but then it'd always be really low on the screen and it'll look weird. What can we do here and why are we staying here? There's something over there, so there's probably another village. Hello, cows. Nope. Bonk. Bonk. There we go. Lovely. I got cow head. Bonk. I added player and cow heads just for the fun of it. Because why not? It's another little collectible thing we can do. I can't get out of here. I think what we can do while we're here is collect up hay bales and cows in order to make... Oh, I'm low on food, that's why. Can't sprint. I want to collect up hay bales and cows while we're here and get a bunch of hamburgers for food, because I'm pretty sure part of the Shulk origin is I go through food faster. Pretty sure. You exhaust much quicker than others, yes, thus requiring to eat more. Yeah. So we're gonna bonk. No. No, the cow's faster! No. There we go. Lovely. I need iron in order to make those hamburgers, though. That is the one constraint here. Might as well chop the rest of this down. I hate leaving trees up. Okay, iron. How am I gonna get that? While I slowly walk around and try and figure... I need to make bread for the hamburgers anyway, so I might as well just eat some of that bread. So I can at least walk around a little bit faster. And get around just a wee bit faster. Phew, there's iron right there. It's not gonna be enough, but it's a start. I need 5 iron to make... I need 5 iron in order to make a frying pan, which is what I need to make the hamburgers. There's coal down there, but I don't have a good way to get down there. Oh, trees. I'll do. Just elevator my way down. Iron, there's copper. Why is there what? Out of all the loot to be dropped here, why is that an ender pearl and an iron sword? I know we have essential, but I don't have the world open. And we would have seen if somebody joined. That's suspicious. Like, we can go back in the VOD. I just created the world. Oh, hello. No, thank you. No, thank you. I just want iron. I don't need the stupid cosplay creepers. I don't remember possessed creepers. I don't remember what they're named. I don't know why cosplay was the first thing to come up in my head. You're cosplayers. I say with all the love of my soul. Cosplayers are genuinely great, usually. I think that can be said for, like, everybody, though. And then literally the only shulk ability, like the other origins, when you have your ability, it's like, I have mine set to left alt, usually it's like I or O to trigger the ability. There's a waystone. The Elytrian ability is like, oh, it's a cool boost, Enderin, you can teleport. Slot. My hair keeps moving. I'm tired of my hair, hold on. I love and hate my hair sometimes. And there's a reason I keep hair ties at my desk. Okay. That is far better, especially in this heat. It's not as hot today, but it's still like 80. Which definitely not the hottest it can be at all, but also this is the Pacific Northwest. That's hot. What? Greatly reduces the duration of negative effects. Amateur archaeologist. Okay, we got one. I didn't think we'd find one genuinely so soon. Okay, hold on. I was gonna put the bingo in the top of the screen, and I already forgot to do that. How are we gonna do this? Hold on. Can I put paint up? Can I put paint as a tiny window? Can I put a tiny window of paint? Of MS Paint? Can I file image? Can I open? Oh dear, the mouse. Can I open that? You guys can't see that, you just see a bunch of mouses. Okay, hold on. Mice? You just see a bunch of mice. Would it be mice or mouses in this case? Does it have to be a game capture? MS Paint. There we go! Let's throw MS Paint bingo in the top of the screen. Crop it correctly. Oh, no. There we go. And we got antidote. That's not really legible. Hold on, brush. A bigger brush. Brush big? Brush big how? This. Too much. Beep. What? Black? I don't know. Do we just cross? You know what? I'm gonna do this. There we go. That'll do. Also, very important. I'm gonna lock this in and move this underneath a bunch of other stuff on my monitor. There we go. Very important. This item, there are two of them. There is infinite uncooked beef and infinite cooked beef. Either one counts for this bingo, because there are actually 37 items total. And that's the only one that's technically 2. So we're doing that. And hopefully I don't forget to actually check. Oh, I had the world open the entire time I was doing that. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I should have clued in by the cricket noises. What does this even look like on my character? Hold on. With the artifacts, there's now this whole thing. Originally, we just had a back slot and a charm. Charm for Charm of Undying, and then general back slot for Backpack Curios. Antidote Vessel goes on our belt. Yeah, I'm not sure what I expected. I'm not sure what I expected. Also, I really wanna, with the update, I wanted to like have a solid 150 mods. Because there's at 149, I'm like, I already added extra mods to hit 150, and then I removed some, and then added new ones. Like, I want to add one more. So we actually have voice chat now. Also, you do not use cooked beef for the hamburgers. It has to be raw beef. You cannot use the cooked version. It doesn't work. This house usually has good stuff. Yeah, know what? Yeah. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, 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 yes. That's enough! That's enough for me to make, the frying pan. I really want to do, like, either getting some friends of mine that are willing to be on stream, or, some other content creators, and just play Amalgamation. Because I would absolutely adore doing that. Diamond. Diamonds? Diamonds. Okay. I ain't complaining. It's overpowered. I ain't complaining. I want to actually make a... I added... This used to be an old version of Amalgamation. I have since re-added it. Sophisticated backpacks, because it's been a serious annoyance on streams for me to have to sit and deal with the furnace. So I'd much rather, you know, just... Why were you already low on health? Why are you guys low on health? I'd much rather just have the sophisticated backpacks in the mod pack, and then have us run around. I'm fine with there being two different backpack mods. It's okay. There we go. I knew there was a furnace in here, and I didn't steal it before, so I'm gonna steal the stone cutter. I usually end up needing it for some reason or another. Okay, smelt the stone. That's a creeper, by the way. That sound is in fact a creeper. What is the crafting recipe for sophisticated backpack? We need a chest and string. Usually the biggest house in the village has an artifact. Ooh! Thank you for the heads up on that. I don't think I've genuinely played with artifacts before. This is my first time actually working with them. I've seen them in, like, other people's mods, and mod packs, and people playing modded Let's Plays, but I have not yet actually used them. We randomly got one in a Waystone Tower for some reason. I don't understand. I don't know. And make us a bunch of hamburgers. There we go. Lovely. I need 4 string, and we're gonna steal a chest somewhere. Can't be used as a weapon. I want to find a way. I should add to my list of modding this. Just to find a way to make the frying pan just a secret weapon. For no reason other than the goofs and gaffs, the laughs. Sleep for the night. I need to steal a chest. I played artifacts a lot. Hell yeah! So you one of your favorite mods or a different mod your favorite? I think Better Villages is definitely one of my favorites. Although Useful Backpacks is absolutely up there. And Tool Leveling Table. I have so much wood. Why am I saying I need to go find and steal a chest when I can just craft one? And I should have stayed out overnight to get string. Can't seem to find Eternal Beef in the Umbrella one. Uh-oh. I'm hoping we find at least one of them. Iron! I have such delayed reactions. All the time. It never stops. Eternal beef. Right. I'm hoping we find at least one of them and add to my little bingo up here. I play horror mods a lot. Hell yeah. Amalgamation actually started as horror mod pack, but I've since moved it towards RPG stuff. Well, mostly. Fair enough, fair enough. I got started playing horror mods as a joke for 200 subscribers. For some reason, I decided 200 subscribers, I'm gonna play a horror mod pack for 200 days. Cause that makes sense. Is there... I don't think there's gonna be anything good in here. You know what? Let's get a cow. Boop. 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 There we go. Lovely. And make a little bit more hamburger. Okay, I seriously need to get string. I want inventory management. It is lagging for me, but I think it's my ping. Uh-oh. I'll be keeping an eye on the frames. I have the FPS low just so it doesn't have stuttering when it's streaming. But I'll keep an eye on that. Hearty meal, ate a hamburger. I mean, I'll take bread. I can use bread. Right, you guys, they're very broken. I don't know how to fix this yet. I'm not sure if that's a fresh animations thing and I need to turn the resource pack back a version, which probably is the answer. Hamburger. Leaving. I'm really tempted to remove the random villager names because it's already annoying. How many times have I seen in this village alone? Leaving, arriving, leaving, arriving. I mean, there's more cows over here. What can... Do I want to go with a katana or a glaive? I can make glaive. I don't have the string to do, actually. Katana, I'm pretty sure we can just straight up make. Where is it? Because it's the two-handed and the sweeping that I love. Glaive is... There we go. Katana. Glaive's better damage, but the katana's pretty good for attack. You know, we'll go katana. It's better damage. Oh wait, I can make a diamond katana. Hold on. Lovely. Big damage upgrade already. And it actually... Oh, that's sick! I had no idea how better combat was gonna work with Dix's armory. This is fantastic. I love this. Oh my god. Oh, this is an adult cow, by the way. I have random mob sizes. Oh. Come here. Come. Why? 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 Oh, that's great. Let me clip. There we go. Lovely. I forgot about this. Oh, no. What is the reach on that? It's crazy. We actually should test reach. Ooh, it's pretty far. When I first started streaming, I used a Stream Deck app that also connected my computer. Elgato now has a free one, so... I don't need no fancy Stream Deck, I just need my phone. Oh, this is great. I'm so happy I added the better combat. I was hesitant. Oh, bonk. I was hesitant on even adding it at all. Axe! Hello! I updated the amalgamation! I am whacking everything with a katana. This is fantastic. I love it! I love it so much! This is... Come here. How in? Oh. Very dope. Yes, indeed. A bonk. Can you even... I don't think you can call that a bonk. That's more of a swipe. That's more of a... More of a... Big pig. Another cow. I am going to get you, bonk. I'm just automatically gonna say bonk every time, even though I really don't need to. I have gotten a lot of leather now. I still... no string. Yippee! Where can I even go from here? This is all ice. I need to go over this way. Yippee! There's something that... what? What? Is there a second one by chance? It's just one! Why is this here? Why is this here? Terralift, fix yourself, please. Alright, companion, do you have a crafting tape? What is that? It's just a dead biome. Companion, Verg Abrahamson. Melon slice and cooked pork chop. I am not getting you a melon slice, sir. I can, however, steal your crafting table and get my water buckets. Water bucket. And you know what? I'm gonna steal your bed until I can find the comfort. Until I should have gotten wool when I was at the village. We can make a sleeping bag that I can automatically place down and it goes back in my inventory. We love the Fortnite and cola. I'm eating chicken. Hell yeah. I was lucky, had a little bit of shrimp. Just grilled shrimp for dinner. Some bread rolls. Salad. Good stuff. And now I have a giant thing of tea. Also, I made a poor life choice today. I have no idea how this is going to affect me. You see the size of this? You see how it is compared to my head? I had 4 of these worth of coffee. 4. From about 8:30 in the morning to about 10:30, I was just refilling from Keurig pot. Just drinking my coffee. All I had this morning was iced coffee, and it was fantastic. I've gotten a lot of stuff done today. Time slowed down. My brain could work. I'm pretty sure I was texting X earlier about this, and the quote I literally used was, the car finally got a change of oil, which is how it felt. I got a large amount done today. I was trying to think up more video ideas, because it's been really hot to actually sit down and record. So I'm like, okay, let's come up with some content stuff. And that's how we even ended up here. Because literally, before today, before 10 a.m. Oh my god, I didn't know you had a... yeah. I have a giant thing of tea. And then also, I have a refill. It is decaf, but it is wonderful Twinnings breakfast. Oh, I can't spread any more food. Num 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 num. We are literally in the snowy tundra. There's nothing out here. What can I even do? We haven't even seen a cave. It's probably not a good idea for me to jump and run, because of how fast I deplete food, actually. And it's almost... I have a bed now, but it is almost nighttime. And my computer's currently screaming at me, so I'm gonna keep an eye on the dropped frames. Oh wait, I need to I want to enable this. You guys aren't gonna see this. I will, but my camera's gonna cover it. With the RPG HUD settings, you can actually do miscellaneous, FPS counter. I'm gonna set it to 1.5. And put it like 5 off of each. I need you to be with... There we go. Make it very easy. So, my camera's gonna cover it, but I can see my FPS on screen. Still awesome. Yeah. I am a huge tea fanatic. Even like here at my desk, I have a tea organizer. And then a huge coffee fan too. Just all the drinks. I want all the drinks. I love boba. I love coffee. Love tea. Love all of it. Oh, give me a good matcha any day. I really want to get a matcha so I can start doing proper matcha. For the moment, I just have instant. Oh, drop frames. I am seeing that on stream. Wonderful. Oh, we love that. That's great. That's a pillager camp. We're kind of far out. I have no idea how leveled these guys are going to be. Because we have the mob leveling. What is your health, sir? 60. So you're probably, like... Assuming we add, like, a level per 20 health, you're probably 3, 4, 5? Or no, 60 is, like, level 10, I think. I'm pretty sure of that. Oh no, his nose. It's also broken. Nose broken? Or, wait, this is easier to do on this side. Nose fine? Broken. Fine? Broken. There's... you can see when I go over his hitbox. Ah, that's great. Lovely. I mean, I don't have a lot to lose. It's either loot now or loot later. There's another guy. Oh, there's a lot of guys. I mean, I have like a really good, because I'm a shulk. I don't have... Being a shulk, I automatically just have better armor rating. Oh, there we go. And then there's one more. Oh, the stupid arrow stuck in my face. Wonk. There we go. Lovely. So I got a few arrows out of that. I still don't have string. Still 0 string, but a lot of arrows in my face. I'm down to half health. I don't think that was worth it. I really don't. I forgot about the combat roll. I have already forgotten I could have combat rolled at any point of that. Oh wait, is rolling... Can you roll under things? Hold on. No, you cannot. Okay. It just tries to burst you forward. Got it. I don't think that's worth doing for me. How did you get all the way over here, sir? Oh. There's wood over there. There's another thing there that I can't see. There's something over there. I'm just gonna ignore that. We are gonna move on. Hopefully closer to spawn. Ruin portal! This is a town! Lovely. Golden apple, flint, I'll take that. Ooh, computer's yelling at me. Reload, chunks. Reload. Oh, I'm feeling the frames. Oh, even the cows. Oh, I need to upgrade my stats. I have horrible damage compared to their health. I should have gone after the bigger cow first. That would have been smart. I really don't need to be even going after the cows. I need to go after sheep. I need wool. Although, food is good. Yeah, food good. I would dare say food is a good choice. Jeez. Please. I might... Okay, the reason I even started doing katana... You are way too small for me to attempt to attack. The reason I even started going... Bucket of axolotl. The reason I even started using a katana was for farms. Specifically, just, like, skelly farms. We're not gonna be playing that this long. I really should have saved for a glaive instead. Because that would have been a smart choice. Bread. There's only one piece of bread and all of that. Okay, I'm gonna steal your chicken and eat it. That gives me some. I'm gonna steal baked potato. I'm gonna steal another baked potato. The less of my own food I have to eat, the better. And I'm pretty sure you guys have extra stores up here. You do. Uncooked food? Can I get some uncooked beef? There's milk. But I want beef. Honey? Honey, honey, beef! And there's nothing else I want up here. I need more artifacts! And preferably some diamonds. Whoop. You have a secret barrel there. I want to get a bow. Gold. You have an emerald block in here. Okay. I'll take it. You have more iron. I'll take it. I need a backpack. I would like a backpack. But I need string. I need to stop sleeping through the night. Because I have a feeling that's kind of what's hurting me right now. Cobwebs! We need that for an explorer's compass. So now I don't have to get them with shears. And that just goes out there. That just goes out here. Might as well. It might be faster going out, actually. No, I am just stuck right here. Never mind. Completely incorrect. How out? Thank you. I already went this way. I just wish for some wool. Honestly, I'm not picky about just taking it from a house either. Bread! Pretty please. I just need some wool. Would you have wool? You look more like a alchemy kind of spot. It's a cartographer. Okay. Bundle? A compass. Kind of want that. I don't want a bundle. I need other things. I wish for other things. Do you have a bow? Do you have a bow? Like, yes, you do. Okay, we're overpowered. Hold on. Hold on. Bow. The emeralds we've been collecting. Emerald bow, plus 3 projectile damage. Oh. And now we deal a nice little bit of damage. Nah. Okay, carrying on. Is there anything good around? I would like to— oh, there's something up there. Hold on. What is over there? What is up north? It looks like another town. Is that— or is that a tavern? I think that's a they have wool! We're going. I need anything I can get my hands on. Oh, that's what the bar looks like. Okay. You know what? I actually like that way more than vanilla. I like that a lot more. Bucket. Bucket. When in doubt, back to vanilla ways. I love being a Lytrian, I love being an Enderman. Simply for the traveling. But that's also kind of slow. Also, I just realized— is— no, it's okay, it's not. I was trying to figure out if the bingo was actually gonna cover up anything. Oop. And then click on here. There we go. Okay, lovely. Okay. I clicked back on stream and the music cut out. I was very worried for a second. No, it was part of the song. Give me all the hay bales. You have wool, you have hay, you have more wheat and bread. I love that. Thank you very much. This is why I need a bag. I have so much in my inventory already. You know what? I'll take more iron. I can always use it. I kinda need it. I should start using my slots. Hold on. These go in slots. Those are the most important things. Actually, these, believe it or not. With those, I can make not only an enchanting table, but a tool leveling table. And a tool leveling table means I can upgrade my enchantments to sharpness 100 if I want. Forget all of you, I am stealing your wool. Give me. No, I don't. I need wool for the other backpack, not this one. I'm thinking of the wrong thing. Hey, do you have string? Kenneth, do you have string? Oh, no. I have a lot of bread right now, so I'm not worried about that. I just really would like some string. If this chest could open, I have in fact clicked on it. Nope. Any day now, please. Oh, thank you. Stray Fortress. It's not loaded. Oh, wait. Oh, there we go. I'm not sure I want to do... you took my bread! Not sure I want to do that. Also, I'm gonna reload chunks just in case, because if I'm lagging, the stream might be. And that's not good. It really isn't. I mean, we're slowly moving back towards spawn. I'm gonna mostly keep heading northeast, so we stay outside of mob leveling, and we mostly have lower leveled stuff, and we can stay safe and survive. And hopefully find a sheep that I can actually kill along the way that doesn't have 60 health. We're in Yellowstone. And there's no animals. I mean, there's probably fish, but... Oh, there's a wild waystone over there. And I'm out of hunger. Waystones I will also keep in my inventory, just because it's a little bit easier. Or in the shulk inventory, is what I mean. I see a cow over there. Oh wait, I should not sleep. I should stay up for the night. And then we can get string. Because that's smart. That's a good idea. This is going in the inventory. You know, I'd have better luck over there, because the only thing that spawned is cows. Also, whenever you hear llama spits, it's just guys spawning in. It's just a mod. And it gives them cool spawn animations. Or they just poof in, depends on what they want to do. Yep. Let me up. I haven't seen anything. Literally not a thing here. Excuse me. Anything? Anybody? There's a house up there and another one over there. But there's no sheep! Not a soul. There's not even any mobs spawning. This is a vanilla biome, and not any mobs spawning at all. There's a villager that doesn't know to go inside at nighttime. And I'm gonna assume this is a companion. Yes, it is. Frida Svensson. 3 cooked chicken, 3 salmon. Not gonna do it. Oh, you're... Entrance to your house. Oh, I just completely went around the wrong way. Cows, plenty of cows. Always cows. I saw 3 sheep at the beginning of this and I know... Spiders! Bonk! Shoink! There we go, lovely. I need 3... Oh, I'm almost gonna die. Oh no, the baby animals also have large... Oh, is that just a large baby? That might just be a large baby. Oh wait, arrow. Oop. Yippee. Oh, that was a horrible angle, and I only got one string from that. Aww. Oh, there's another pillager place there. Lovely. Door that. Love that. Yep. No. No. Still no shape. Still none. No more spiders either. Jeez. I just literally require 2 string. That is it. That's all I want. I don't need no spider eye. Am I slower because I'm running with the katana? No. Yeah, it just feels like it. Oh, it's a tiny baby! Oh! That's what I get for even thinking about it. Okay. No. No. I'm gonna go sit in the water. No. No. Oh, no. Well. Oh, I have more levels! Health. Yeah, we're just gonna do this. Yeah. Okay, spider! How did I get the pig in that crosshair? It didn't give me any string! Got no string out of all that. Also, I need to check if something's actually... I'm taking clips using my phone / Stream Deck right now. I want to see if it's actually taking clips or not. Because it pops up a little thing like it is, but that symbol that pops up is also a hazard symbol. No. Wait. No. Okay, why would that be the case? No account. Authorize. That would be why. That would be why. My Twitch account is not connected. There we go. Okay. Ah, you... Please recognize. There we go. Put a marker here. Okay, there we go. It gave me a check mark this time. Okay. Noted. I put a little stream marker so I know I have to go back and get clips. I should have honestly checked that first. I really should have, but I did not. I did not do that thing. I really did not. Thing? Why terracotta? Oh, sir, are you okay? Okay. Oh, well, That's mushrooms. Oh, wait, no, it's just creepers and slimes. No spider. I need string. String. Okay, it's just random terracotta. Lovely. No. No. Goodbye. Sheep! I need the sheep. Pretty. Please. Thank you. It's just occurred to me I don't actually need them. I keep thinking of the other backpacks. I want the sophisticated backpack. I don't need the useful backpack. I want the sophisticated one. Oh, sir, are you okay? Okay, goodbye. Just your friendly neighbor checking in. I'm going away now. I'll leave you alone. I did not see the no trespassing sign. I apologize. Companion or villager? Oh. Oh, that's a companion. I think they're dead. I think they're dead. Uh-oh. Yeah, about that. Sleepy boy. Anybody know where I can get me some string? He says, yes, I do. I know where. Follow. They're coming from everywhere. Screw off. No, thank you. I don't want to go meet your spider buddy in the back alley for string. I hate downtown. Okay. Lovely. I mean, this house had good stuff last time, kind of. Not really. Another compass. I don't need that. I just want string. String. Parlez-vous anglais? Another language. There's this house that has good stuff. Oh wait, I can take a diamond pick. And some copper. Or actually, I don't think I need copper, actually. Because what you need copper for sophisticated backpack, or you can use more iron to upgrade from the normal to iron, or iron to gold, something like that. I think that's how the thing do. I'm pretty sure. Also, it just occurred to me the clock at the top of the screen is based on real life 24-hour, not the in-game. Oh, they only got, oh. You know, let's keep it. Oh, wait! There are mushrooms down there. There's a mushroom mine shaft we saw on the cliffside. Is there an entrance to the mine shaft over here? No. Okay, I'm gonna go use the cliffside. Because that could have string. That could have the answer to everything. That might actually just genuinely be the entrance as well. Because mine shafts aren't supposed to be this high up. If it is this high up, it's usually the entrance to one. Let's just get around the cranky neighbors. They woke up a little too early and now they're making it your problem. Yeah, I can make that. I love the just a bone-breaking sound effect. Oh. Okay, where was... You. Is thing? Yeah, okay. Okay, ladder's not broken, wonderful. Wonderful. Oh my. Oh dear. Well, are there any there's cobwebs! I'm out of sprint again! Oh, there's a stupid guy coming to get me. Knock it off. Knock it off. Knock it off. Thank you. I just want to inventory manage for like 2 seconds. I need more food. Okay, here's another stupid guy. Did he? Did he fall? He did fall off! And I gotta be careful about standing there. What? Oh, there is so poisonous spiders under. Yeah, there's so poisonous spiders down there. They make horrible noises, and I hate it. Oh, right, cobweb. Yep. String. Yep, string. Yep. Crafting table. String. This thing. Backpack. Can I immediately just upgrade this a bunch? If I completely surround it in iron, I can, but I don't have the ability to do that. And I wouldn't have gotten enough copper anyway, but I can smelt some iron that I have in order to do that. And I could start throwing some stuff in here. Boop, boop, boop. And if I take an upgrade template, I need more iron for that, and more string. We can put a furnace slot here, which is going to be helpful. Super duper helpful. I really don't need that. I don't know why I kept the ender pearl. We just are. Yeah, I'll keep that. What? Where did my bow go? Oh, it's in my offhand. That's why. Okay. I don't need rotten flesh. Let's move this actually around like so. Okay. And then we have an iron backpack, which is significantly better. And then I can move this to my back slot. And now I have a beautiful iron backpack. And if I get enough gold, then I can also upgrade that to a gold backpack, which is pretty good. Although I'm hesitating on doing that and going explicitly for gold, because sometimes mobs can have backpacks, and they can also drop with their own... they randomly have jukeboxes, but sometimes they have other upgrades. But I'm just gonna grab as much string as I can while we're here. I'm gonna need oh, not you! That is a spider dungeon, and it's full of poisonous spiders specifically. There are other ones, but it's like 75% poisonous spiders. I hate it. There is not really any good loot, it just sucks early game, and there's no point to a late game. If there were as many poisonous spiders, it'd be more fun, but it's just poisonous spiders. Yeah, that's all there is. Thankfully, I can get a lot of string from this place. It's actually seriously nice. I'm pretty lucky that I noticed this and knew exactly what it was. Although I guess that is the bonus of making the mod pack and learning the mod. That's just an entire... Oh, I did not want to do that. I was trying to break the block. There's a thing over here. Barrel. Oh! We got another one. Plastic drinking hat. Decreases the time it takes to drink items. Oh. I'm gonna hate this. Oh no. Collecting all the artifacts. Playing bingo with artifacts. But I lose more of the screen with each one I collect. Oh, this is what I get for playing with first person. This is horrible. Okay, hold on. Where's the drinking hat? There it is. Okay, lovely. There we go. Absolutely lovely. I'm gonna hate. Oh, I already hate. I hate. I hate this. Can we please get a different head upgrade? I could always... I love seeing the body in third person, though. I mean, I don't have to wear it. It has occurred to me, that is my own choice. I don't have to wear it. I really don't have to. Okay, is there anything else in here? I mean, I could get a whole bunch of string. I got another iron pickaxe at some point. Oh. That one has iron. You know what? No, apparently I only mine faster at the very beginning of my hands. Just give me the iron. I need a whole bunch of that. And then we can make the upgrade. I think I have enough to make the upgrade, actually. I think I need redstone? How? Make upgrade. Make upgrade? I need redstone. Okay, good thing I did keep some. And then we're gonna steal one of these, and then steal some of that. Oh, I love the artifact mod. Hey, Jazzy, welcome back. How make upgrade? That how? I'm gonna immediately forget it. I guarantee it. Or I might remember for once. Okay. And do I remember how to do this? I hope so. Lovely! Okay. There we go, smelting, and then we can start throwing this in there. It's all great. It's working out. I should also make a crafting table slot. Hold on. I should make another upgrade. I need 4 of these, then. I don't currently have enough to actually do that. Never mind. I need to wait on more iron. Is there any more left in here, though? Oh, yep. Gimme. 1. Lovely. And that's enough. That's only enough to make a template. Okay, I'm just gonna let it smelt. I'm just gonna let it smelt. Wait, I need that. Lovely. And might have to try this pack out. All the mods is kind of buggy and way too time hungry and bland late game. Yeah. My brain took way too long to comprehend that. Yeah, I am adoring Amalgamation. It has been so much fun to develop and play. There's diamonds down there. Hold on. Chat, we go get the diamonds. I mean, why not? They're right there. I don't have Born Out of Chaos. These aren't gonna be diamond termites. We're fine. Also, I love the cave ambiance. I adore it. There's only one time. I want to make a glaive. The glaive would be so much better. What is going on over here? Ooh. The glaive would be so much better attack damage. Like, I set up a 5x500 block miner with auto smelting and lost interest after. Oh no. Yeah, this one's purely RPG exploration focused. And I'm trying to update it as often as possible. The next update I want to do is focus on like getting a good magic mod that isn't uber complicated, but also works with what currently exists. And doesn't make it too annoying to play either. Like, there's the option for magic, but you don't have to, kind of thing. And it's not gonna be super... I want it to have the option to be overpowered, but it's not necessarily... If, like, a mob gets its hands on it, it's not gonna be ridiculous. There's iron veins, but... Where's there? Oh, no. I saw you. Why am I hearing... Is that the creeper sound, or is that a spider? No, there is a spider. Where is it? Where's the stupid thing? That's a skeleton. / zombie. He dropped an iron ingot! You know what? I wanna get you bonk. Get bonked. Get bonked. Get slashed. Boop. Where is this stupid spider that I'm hearing? I hate this thing. I hate these noises. Okay, I'm just gonna go get my I'm low on saturation and hunger. Give me my diamond. I'm going to switch to my glaive. I have enough. I heard that. There you are, you stupid mofo. No, 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 no. I'm so far away from there. I am so far from there. Okay. F, indeed. I should need to get a sound alert that just screams F with a loud echo. That sounds great, actually. At least we can go up. It's just down the mine shaft, around the corner. It's fine. It's just gonna take a second. Ouch. Not to the game, but to the sound. I just need to get out this way. Is that a supply crate? That's a supply crate. Oh no, it's just a random house. Boo. I was hoping it was a supply crate. What you? Lighthouse? What does a lighthouse do? That's not a lighthouse. What lighthouse do here? What? What? Oh, I can't roll in the water, can I? I can't roll in the water. I periodically remember and forget that I have a roll. Come on. Boop. Bundle, leather, you know what? Yeah. Cobwebs! I need that for a thing. I want that for Explorer's Compass. String! Oh, redstone! We need that for the base, upgrade base. Yep. Those words that I just used. Hi, Grover. Fantastic name, buddy. Okay, have a nice day. There's a waystone up there. But I haven't been collecting waystones at all, and I don't even have the stuff for a warpstone yet. Oh, that's probably why I subconsciously kept the ender pearl. Warpstone. You need 4 of them to make a warpstone. And with a warpstone, you can teleport... Oh, I'm out of hunger! You can teleport to any waystone. Give me some building blocks. I love being a shulk. Here... Oh, no, that was just me collecting blocks. I thought I was hearing some armored skelly walking up on me. We're almost there. That spider's still gonna be there, isn't it? I just wanted to craft my glaive. I should have healed up after the zombies, too. That was my mistake. Also, I am slouching, which is not good. These guys aren't even that leveled. Their health is 24, man. Perfect amount. Yeah, lovely. Woo! 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 My death is not over here. I thought it would be closer. Nope, nope, nope. Just get off. Get off. Get off. Yeah. 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 Okay, let's do it again. Roll back. The great thing about editing is I can cut to me collecting my stuff, but this is real time. I can't do that. My cat at the door. I think that's my cat at the door. You interrupt the stream, you must come on stream. How do you feel about interrupting stream? Yeah? Well timed. Yeah? How do you feel about this? Okay. There we go. Alright. And back to this bowl. I can't even... This is why I liked playing as the Elytrian, because I could just boost and fly away. I gotta fly all the way back immediately. I wouldn't have to do any of this. But no, I gotta slowly walk. We just gotta slowly go. And I gotta get blocks again. Up. I wasn't sure at first if that was sound alerts or not. But oh boy, it was. It was stars! If I could stop stuttering. Jeez. It was not. A broken record for a second there. What the hell? Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't really stutter too much, and other times I become a DJ for 5 seconds. Jeez. Okay, don't care. I need to get back to my deaths. We're doing so well. We got 2 items. And I'm out of hunger. Okay, we walk. At least I'm almost there this time. Kind of. Not really. Just slowly. Very, very slowly. I don't know if that would get me down the same. It probably would. Maybe not. Maybe. I feel like just going through the mineshaft again is the fastest way to do this. I went through like some random crack in the wall too to get over there. So that's gonna be fun. I love how you could see me just jumping in the first person. Wee, 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 wee. I'm stupid. Alright, and do it again. Third tries the charm. Grab my stuff. Oh, you're still... I'm out of food. Just a slow walk away. Oh, their AI pathing is horrible. Lovely. Why did that work? Why did that work? I need to go to... Was it that one or was it a different one? No, I'm pretty sure it was that one. No, there's no... There's a ladder at the end of it. Ladder? Oh, jeez. Get away. I don't think this is the right one either. I'm going the right way, though? No, I'm not. That guy's gonna so get me. Because I need to go back out. Oh, he's kind of stuck. Oh, you kind of stuck, bro. Oh, no, you're not. You were absolutely not stuck. Oh, jeez. Okay. This is how we're doing it. Can you... You can't pathfind around the rails! Oh, perfect. Until you can. Yeah, yep. You never say anything. Oh, thank you for the carrot. And this will give me a little bit more hunger to actually handle this guy. Oh, get him stuck. Get him absolutely stuck. Lovely. Nah, stay stuck. Die, 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 die! Lovely. And while it does give me hunger, it does give me a little bit more to work with. Oop. Oh, my head. Nah. Okay. How, where, when, what, why did I get down there? Not this one. And if it wasn't that one, was it the one on the left? It was you! I thought I went on the right, not the left. Did I go up? Or to the side? Side. Side, side, side. So then we went down here, and then we went around. We went down here, we went up and over here, got diamonds. I'm already out of hunger again. It's over there. Oh jeez, oh jeez, oh jeez, oh jeez, jeez. No. No! Ah yes, epicness. Oh, he's not chasing me anymore, what? I wish this was a bit. I really wish it was a bit. My brain and my mouth do not work together at all. Brain and voice box never work together at all, ever. Lovely. Okay, you stupid. No. I'm using the bow. I'm using the bow. No, no, no. No, I'm not doing this again. Okay, eat hamburger. I am moving over here to the lava, where no mobs are gonna spawn on me. I'm making my stupid glaive. Guess I'm keeping this head. Okay. I do not need run flesh, gunpowder, or spider eyes. I'm going to keep the sticks, and the iron, and the cobweb I got, which is gonna go into this inventory with that stuff. String goes there. I'm moving smelting upgrade down a slot. We are making... Yes. And then another 3 plus 4 emeralds. Boop, 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 boop. We make another slot. Upgrade base, we put crafting table in, plus redstone, plus that. What do you mean? What do you want from me? You need- oh, I need a chest. I just need a chest, okay. Iron? Yes. Okay. And now we can craft in inventory. And it will actually save what I'm doing as well, which is fantastic. So we make a pole. And now we have a glaive instead of a katana. Okay. Now what I really want to know is I forgot to check this earlier. If I open my inventory, take my backpack, and put the backpack in my shulker inventory, can I still open the backpack? No, I cannot. Okay. That's the number one thing I want to know. Okay, feel a little better. I should take the other iron we have, chestplate, and boots. Boop, boop. There we go. Fully protected. Wait, hold on. No. There we go. Oh. Fully armored. Lovely. And there's more diamonds over there. And there's fall damage around the corner. No. Stop that. There we go. Okay. Love that, hate that. Give me my goddamn diamonds. Whoop. Up there. There you go. I need to get food. I need to get more cows. Remove death. Okay. At least we got another artifact out of all this. But geez, I did not want to die that much. Once was too many. Where does that connect back up to? Pretty sure that should just connect back up to the start, yeah? You suck. You suck. Yeah, there's the infested cave. Okay, hold on. Or not infested cave, that's the spider dungeon, not an infested cave. Yeah. Okay. I didn't even know that's how this was connected up. Okay. Because what I was saying this side. I wasn't saying down there. No. Stop that. We go. I don't want to be down here any longer than I have to. Is there any chest down there? No. We go. I got what I wanted. I got what I came for. I am not dealing with the spider behind me. No. Absolutely not. I have an arrow on the top of my head. Okay. Where go from here? More structures, I guess? Because that's gonna be the number one way I get things. I feel like I'm trying to think of places that would have a lot of chests that I could possibly get something from. Villages aside, because I'm not sure if they can. It seems like they can spawn in a village, probably. I don't know how often of a thing that is, so I'm gonna upgrade. Oh, right, I lost all of my upgrades. Because I died. Okay. Thinking. But thinking is not working well. We don't even have we have 2 places we could start a bingo, but there's a lot of options from there. I can get most of the board right now. I can get at least like 50% of the board from a bingo right now. I can use 50% of the board to get a bingo. Stars. Whatever. Point got across. Might as well use the waystone up here. I mean, I randomly got an artifact the first time I went to a waystone tower. Might as well. Boop. Anything? I'll take an emerald. Emerald? Ender pearl. And bread. Okay, I want to close off oh, that hurt. I'm gonna close off stream in the next half hour. I'm trying to figure out if I want to go for a little bit longer than that. Probably not. Yeah, not. Just hold out until the last half hour of stream. We'll see what we can get done until then. Oh, that's why I wanted sheep. I just remembered why I wanted sheep. I wasn't thinking of the useful backpacks. I was thinking of a bed. I was thinking of sleeping bags. And I actually have enough string that I can craft the last piece I need, and then we can craft a sleeping bag. Is there any puppies around? Any red flowers? For me to steal? Those are raspberries. Those are not red flower. Give. Boink. Red. Yoink. Red bed. I'm a sucker for a red bed, man. Adore it. You know what? Sleeping bag can go. No, I want easy access to it. Okay. You know, I'm gonna leave y'all with ambience for a second. I'm gonna go refill this on ice and hit the bathroom, and then we'll be back. So, do I still have timer? I do still have timer, okay. Pin the taskbar, there we go, lovely. Set it for 5 minutes. Start. And let me show timer, there we go. Alright. Or wait, I can just put it over my face, so when I come back, there we go. Alright, be back. I'll turn up the music. Sorry about that. I have gotten more ice. So now I can do another tea pour. Oh, it's not even... Oh, it's kind of on camera. Yeah. Almost full. Okay. Lovely. And thank you, Stream Loots. Alright. Let me turn down music just a tad. There we go. Alright. Oh. You know what, I might actually turn that clock at the top to 12 hours, because that makes it a little easier for me to understand the time. Why not? Why is that down there? Why is this little bar there? I don't know what that's for. I just noticed that, and I'm not gonna unnotice that. No? I don't know what that's from. No? What is that from? Oh, system. Okay, that's what that is. I don't know what that little block is at the bottom left. I really don't. What are you shaking your head at? I am adjusting in my chair. I was cross-legged on one side, now I'm cross-legged on the other. You have an iron block. Hold on. Never mind. Not right house. Incorrect. Absolutely. You have cake. There's a dog barking in the background, but I have cake. Lovely. Don't you guys have a waystone? Oh right, I need to kill cows. I need food. Boop. Boop. Ah, lovely. And now this actually does sweeping. It didn't do that. The glaive used to be horrible, that's why I switched to katana for sweeping specifically. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, actually, yeah. There you go, now I can just hotkey up beef and get immediate hot dogs. Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Okay. Genuinely, what is that, though? Nothing here. I have the ambience at 50%, and I almost feel like that's too loud. But I'm not, I have the game audio muted. I've had the game audio muted this entire time. I know exactly why it's off. I turned it off for B-roll for the video Sunday. I never turned it back on. That was something I was specifically worried about. And I never turned it back on. Yeah. That's a problem. Anyway, you guys ready to hear killer sound effects for the first time? It's lovely. They're great. I'm not sure if the ambience is too high, though. It might be. I think it's a little loud for me, but I think it might be just right when it comes to background noise for the stream. Oh, I got a cowhead again. I don't need that. That's kind of towards spawn. We're kind of looping at this point. Yeah. I have just made a giant loop. Okay, looks like we're heading east yet. Northeast, east. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what we're doing now. Oh, jeez. And then I'm not gonna bother with you. I'm not gonna waste arrows on you. I'm not gonna waste materials on you. Wonder how far this current extends. Because, like, does it go real far out, or is there, like, a new continent right over there? There's a ocean version of the temple right there. Surely it wouldn't blow up underwater, right? Because 9 out of 10 of these blow up on me. Oh, that's what. No. One of those guys had a trident. Nope. Absolutely not. No, thank you. Nope. Nope. Nope, mister. No, no, no. No, no. There's nothing in there. That's the good part of the ship. What is going on down here? Iron, a diamond, lapis, gold, bottle enchanting. We love to see it. All good, good stuff. We love it. Yeah. It looks like this entire area is just gonna be ocean. Okay. I mean, we got some nice deep ocean here, but damn, okay. Oh, I can't do Who? That's a thing, but I don't care enough. There's a ship above water. Oh, that's a villager ship! Pray tell, sir, what are your wares? It's probably a fisherman. It most definitely is a fisherman, actually. It's probably covered in barrels. It's a nitwit! Jacob the nitwit. Hi, buddy. I'm sorry to offend you immediately walking on to your vessel. Oh, Rebecca! You don't actually have a job, though. Actually, I do need amethyst shards for a warp stone. A bunk. I'm never gonna get tired of this. How did it fixes itself? I think it's the RPG HUD. I think it's the entity inspect. Why would that mess up your nose? Okay. I honestly, I think it's funnier. I think it's funnier to have. It's funnier. Jeez. Now that's deep ocean. Schwonk. You don't forget bonking people. I'm gonna schwonk people. That's far more fun to say anyhow. Get schwonk. I wanna schwonk. 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 I love that. I love it so much. There's not really... Yeah, there's not really anything out here. There really, really isn't. You know what I need to do? I need to use the smelting I need to use my furnace. We're gonna start smelting cobblestone. Give me stone. We're gonna craft stone bricks. With those stone bricks, we get cracked stone bricks from the furnace again, and then we make the damn explorer's compass. That should have been the first thing I focused on. I don't know why I've been roaming. I have everything I need. After I found that cobweb, I had everything I needed. I don't know why I didn't just go ahead and start making one. Oh, there's something that way. Why not? Better than roaming the ice. There's a stray that wants to pop up right there. Yep. Goodbye. None of you pretty please. I hate the stray noises. I hate them. Ugh. Despise with a passion. There's a waystone right there. You know what, actually? Instead of stealing this one, okay, I am stealing that one, apparently. Because there's a second one for some reason. Gimme. Into this inventory. Boop. And boop. Just in case. And then... doink. Yeah, shut up. That was the bottom of the teapot. That had all the sugar. That had all the sugar. If I was falling asleep, I'm awake now. That's sweet tea. This is what I was going for. After drinking the borderline leaf juice from earlier, I just did not expect it. I just got punched in the mouth by a donut. Like, it wasn't a genuine, I just got, like, tasted a bunch of sugar. It was just sweeter than I expected it to be. I thought I accidentally made it less sweet this time. I was aiming for sweet tea. It just didn't work up with the first cup. I forgot to stir in the sugar. Hey. There's another waystone up there. Might as well. Oh, wait. No, I don't need to smelt you again. I need to craft you into stone brick, and then smelt you again. Anything for me. Whoop. Bonk. Hey! Superstitious hat applies an extra level of looting to killed enemies. That actually fits together really well. I love that. Why am I getting everything from the Waystone Towers, out of all places? I thought we were gonna be getting this from dungeons. Why is this a look? It's a very certain look. It's a look, though. It is a look, a stereotype. It is just a stereotype, unfortunately. Why is it trying to smell bread? I'm gonna take these. I don't have everything else in my inventory. We're gonna take this compass, these cobwebs. Now we have an explorer's compass, and we can go just about... Oh, I'm gonna hate this. We can just go just about... Oh, no. We can go just about anywhere we want. Y'all wanna check out the stronghold? Let's go to the stronghold. Stronghold. My camera is covering it, but it is searching. Right, I need to turn off. My camera covers it. There's actually behind me the armor. Player armor. It shows my durability. No? What? What? Player armor. What? A prevent event. And element from rendering? No? What was that? How is it? Is it talking about? It's that one down there. Item details. Armor off. There we go. It's 18. Oh no. Every time okay, we can't wear this. Every single time I jump. And I refuse, adamantly refuse to turn off the first person. You can if you want. I'm keeping it on. I like it a lot, actually. I wonder how bad the mobs are gonna be, because we're going 1,800 out. And we're not even close to spot. We're going 2,300 to 2,300 to 1,000. We gotta head directly this way for 1,600 more blocks. Why is this genuinely a good build, by the way? Like... Oh wait, I need to update the list! I need to update the bingo! We got you! We got you! There we go. Okay, lovely. And I'll have to save this stupid bingo card for Sunday. I'm still not sure what bingo we're going for. It seems like the second column is the best right now. Because we already have 2 of those. Now, seems like the best option at the moment. Holy... Jeez. That's a lot of water to render. Crash my stream, why don't you? If it does, that'd be hilarious. This would be the perfect time to crash, genuinely. It probably will, because I'm exploring so far out. But I am going to keep a second eye on it. Oh yeah, I'm seeing the drop frames. Yep. I'm usually at 75. I'm at like 50 right now, according to Minecraft. The structure's underwater, isn't it? The stronghold is underwater, isn't it? I just wanna actually walk into the stronghold. We find the main room, and then we'll start next stream there, because that's a great place for looting. So would the Nether Fortress, but I'd want to go back to spawn for that. Oh, we're actually hitting land. No, just tiny island. Where am? No, jeez. Nope, it's just a tiny island. Oh? What? What are you? It's an illager camp? What health are you? You're 168. Oh no. Oh, I'm gonna die so much. I haven't leveled up like anything. I am going to die so... I feel like I have to loot these guys. Just because of how I need to fight more mobs. I am so out-leveled out here. Oh my god. What are we, in the Isles right now? What is going on here? Are we in the Caribbean? I don't think so. Also, turtles! Look at a pretty bush. Okay, so it will be... It won't be underwater, maybe. Perhaps. Hopefully. My computer is also currently screaming at me. I hope that fixes itself soon. I hope it does. We're 300 away! After, like, 1,600 blocks in the water. What is that? Is that a birch town? Does it have a waystone? No, that's a tavern. That is a birch tavern. You have cows. What? The cows have 200. Oh, I'm not keeping the hat on. Okay, no hats. You can't have first person and combat with the artifacts. You gotta pick two, you can't have all three. Where's the cow going? You know what I think we need to do? I have the ability to. We're going to. Let's just set him in like a little pen or something. So I can just attack this stupid guy. We're just gonna dig a little hole for him. We're gonna place him down there. There we go. Lovely. All for 2 leather and 3 beef. I really need to fix the mob leveling. I thought it'd be fine. Like, oh yeah, the 0.5 scaling is fine. That's fine. No, it's not. It is not. It's not okay. It's not okay at all. Bread. I have more bread than I could ever need. I do not, however, have beef. Why can I never open this chest the first try? Badlands Minor Outpost map. Wait, let me face north. So that's absolutely south. You know what? I actually might keep that. I'm gonna keep that. Bread. What I really want to find is the floater, because you can swim in air with it. I think that'd be so much fun, especially with this build. It'd be so much fun. Out of hunger. I'm trying not to completely fill my bar every time. It's gonna be underwater. We have another 200 blocks. The stronghold's gonna be underwater. It's just gonna be. I'm not filling my hunger bar, because I don't want to waste the food. Yeah. That's the stronghold. It's a modded one. I have this problem with it consistently. Yeah. Yeah, I love this. Yeah. No amount of modding can fix this horribleness. Yeah. Yeah. Just sleep right here. Yeah. It's perfect. That's great. We love it. Yeah. Okay, we're just gonna swim on down. We're gonna swim on down. And then find somewhere to enter through. Yeah. This is about as good as anywhere else. Alright! You have stupid silverfish. I can't destroy a lot here. I don't want to anyway, but yeah. Also, it's very important that my spawn is set here. It is incredibly important and crucial that my spawn is set out here and it stays set out here. If I have to die and walk all the way back, I'm doing it off camera. I don't care. I am not walking that on camera. Oh, hi. This is a different structure. I mean... I'll take it. Might as well set my bed there. Might as well set my bed there. Oh, got apple. Hello. I'll take gold. Lovely. Hello, Billy Bob. Welcome. It just occurred to me, I said I was gonna stop stream after I hit the stronghold. Look at us still going. we're still going. You know what? We're so far out. I think it... What hotkey did I put that to? I don't have as my normal one. Which hotkey is it? You. We're so far out. I should, if I click the right button... It's occurred to me I should place a waystone. This is the stronghold. I will place a better one later. For now, this is a pretty safe spot. Keyword for now. Because I'm certain it very quickly won't be. At least we could probably get some stuff out here. Oh wait, bed! Take that. I'm probably gonna be changing my bed spawn point a lot, but whatever. As long as it's somewhere within the stronghold, I think we're pretty safe. Although I might set it back to the one next to that waystone just for safety. I need to go back there anyway. How go down? Wait, no, set, spawn point, thank you. How go down more? I have a feeling I'm gonna have to destroy in order to go down. And I hate that that's what I need to do, but I'm pretty sure. Oh. And that is why our spawn point is set. One shot from a silverfish. Everything will one-shot us, I guarantee it. Don't matter what it is, it's going to one-shot me. I'm taking as much as I can, and we are going to do our best to survive. It's not going to be pretty. I can be straight up about that. My number one goal right now is that sniper over there. Why is there a little minifigure of myself occasionally? How did a silverfish get me in all that? Also, I need to remove those. There we go. Gotta get back to work. Have a good rest of your stream. Thank you, love. Bye-bye. This is gonna be horrible. I can already see it. I can already feel it in my bones. We're not ready for this. I think I need to level up and then come back. Okay, this first one is useless. This one is the one I just died. This is the important one. I just want to get my stuff back. And then we'll end stream. I know I say that constantly. That, seriously, I just want to grab my stuff. And then I'm just gonna exit the game. That's a next time me. Yep, okay. This is a next time me. Goodbye, no thank you. Let me save as... I could save as PNG. Artifact bingo. Whip. So I have a version I'm using, and then a blank version if people ever want to use it. Alright! That's great. It isn't. No. No! Absolutely not. No, thank you. That sucked. I need to go get levels. We need to go back to spawn and make a farm next time. I didn't want to do that for this. I wanted this to be purely structure running. But I cannot run structures without it. We seriously need to do that. You cannot play this mod pack without focusing on leveling, focusing on your armor, and focusing on your weapons. I have done 2 of those. I have not done the leveling. I need to do the leveling part of that. I need to actually survive to get the artifacts. So that'll be Sunday. And then we will have one more stream of this after that, unless I, by complete coincidence, end up getting a bingo Sunday. But yeah. Next stream will, as I just said, be Sunday the 6th. Unless something comes up and I'm unable to, and then the next one after that will be the 9th, and then the bingo will go out as a video, whether or not I manage to get it, the 13th. Also Sunday will be Passion SMP's video, and hopefully I'm going to be actually recording with the members of it to wrap up Pillager Ploy Saturday. So hopefully that'll happen. I don't know if that's a confirmed thing yet, but hopefully. And there's going to be big stuff going on for Passion SMP, so we'll see how all that runs. But that'll be it for this time. Thank you all for joining me, and for stopping by checking out the VODs. If you made it this far, congratulations, because not a lot of people do that. So if you made it this far, let me know. Do a little comment. Type in the Discord if you're actually watching this on Twitch, because I don't think people really do. Let me know. Yeah, that'll be it. Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.